Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Falakzeeb Khan, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such industry stalwart on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Diwakar Rai. Hello, welcome, Mr. Rai. We are glad to have you here today with us on FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you so much, Falak. It's a pleasure to be with you on this forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are glad to have you here today with us on FaceTime with Leaders too. So let me give you a quick brief about Mr. Diwakar Rai. He is a distinguished professional with an illustrious career, such as Executive Director and Head of various global and regional business and delivery units. He embodies the epitome of leadership in the realm of technology and digital transformation. With nearly 2.5 decades of experience at the helm of various global organizations, coupled with his unwavering commitment to excellence, financial acumen, and multicultural management skills, he has consistently demonstrated exceptional prowess in delivering strategic leadership and driving digital innovations across diverse industries. His strong educational background, including MS in Telecom Engineering from University College London and a certificate in finance from the Wharton School, combined with professional expertise and experience, has matured in the form of his position as Head Retail and Director Global Capability Center at Diebold Nixdorf. So, Mr. Rai, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
First of all, Falak, thanks once again for giving such a good brief about me. Really appreciate that. And since you have done such a good job, let me divide this explanation about my journey in terms of learnings. And I will break it down into 4 pillars of learnings and value which has been created. So the first one I would say is technical and technological learnings. So this is where I started my journey way back in 2000 with a company called Mahindra British Telecom, which is now known as Tech Mahindra. So that time it was 2,000 people company, and now it is like a mammoth of a company. So I used to work for British Telecom projects, and I started as a coder in mainframes. And from there, I moved into database administrator, that also into mainframes activity. And then with BT, I got a big opportunity with moving into open systems. Now, this opportunity was way back in around 2006, and it was around 48 million pound at that time. In today's term, it would be 73 million pound opportunity. And we were creating a kind of a white label managed services platform. In today's world, we are talking about a cloud-based ecosystem. So it was the nascent early attempt of making a platform which is multi-tenant, and humongous learning what we got. We had to set up the data center. We had to create the entire platform from scratch, right from doing the development, designing, architecture, and then moving into the operations. And we bought into big operators onto the platform as well. So this was one of the biggest projects which we did. And now in the new organization, the current one, we are moving into the SaaS-based, cloud-based open API platform. So obviously there has been quite a journey from mainframes to what I'm doing now. And this is where the first learning comes into picture, that don't say no to opportunities. The opportunity at that point in time to move from mainframe to uh, open systems, and that too in a new kind of a role, which is delivery management, coming from a technical background. It was daunting at the first instance. But as I say, that say no to opportunity, don't say no to opportunities, and
Right.
probably what you will do is you will learn more and more.
Correct.
Then the second aspect, what it happened was moving on to a regional management role. So after 8 years in UK, I decided to move back to India. That was primarily because of the family reasons. I made that decision at the time. And in the regional management, I started off with Reliance as an account and Vodafone as an account. So this was again the first time when I was interacting with Indian operators or Indian organizations. And there was this 2G license which had come out at that point in time, and we had bunch of telecom operators coming up. Etisalat, Uninor, Airtel was expanding, Vodafone was expanding,
Right.
and that during that time we had a footprint in each of these accounts. So we had to really scale our processes. We had to scale our implementation, and that's the second learning which we had. That if you are intending to scale, you need to create processes. Otherwise, it's very difficult. The amount of deliveries we did and the amount of accounts we did in that time period was humongous. And then if I move on to the third part, which is from regional management to global management, and with having responsibilities to drive growth. So we expanded into Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, 14 countries in Africa. So this was another expansion we had done. And from being a product company, we were having our product footprint in across all these countries. And now in the new company, I came into doing creating a global capability center. So moving from a regional and a global role of managing profit and loss, doing transactional sales, doing upsales, now moving into creation of a global capability center. And when I moved into this new organization, I was also changing the domain. So I had spent almost 18, 19 years in telecom. I had lived my life with telecom. And now I was moving into a new domain, which was in the retail part of the fence. So there we have customers in the lifestyle called Sephora, DFS, which is basically part of the Louis Vuitton group, Lulu group, and big customers, fuel and convenience customers like Ampol. So point what I'm putting across, when I moved into this global management role, I also changed domain. Do not shy away from change, because that is what gives you a wider scope of learning and also growth at the end. The last pillar which I would like to highlight is the cross-functional exposure and management. Very early in my career life cycle, actually, I got to see different aspects of business, right from pre-sales to delivery to operations, doing P&L management. And this end-to-end exposure helps you to create more value for your customers. And hence, you get growth in return. So those are the four areas which I just now defined, which is technological, then regional, then global, and the cross-functional exposure. That was the journey which I had across 23 plus years of my career.
So that's really very interesting and truly inspiring, I must say. So I'm just sure that, throughout the years, you've just grown for better. So I want to know, next question is, you have made numerous achievements in your professional life. Which of them do you cherish the most?
Okay, that's that's an interesting question, Palak. It's like you're almost asking me to compare my two daughters, and uh, okay, so let me put it into perspective. Then, frankly speaking, for me, uh, rather than the achievements, the important part is the journey, and every achievement brings in some level, some different journey for you, and some different learning. So overall, what excited me always is the transformation journey, whether it is business transformation, which I got an opportunity to really do in my current organization, where I had to transform a regional business which was doing was in negative margins, out of budget projects. So moving from a considerable amount of such projects into really positive domain with no projects out of budget and delivering positive value. In fact, had to take tough decisions there, like we had to close down one of the business entities in Vietnam. The objective was very simple. The objective was how do we generate better outcome in the cost which we are having. Then embracing technology to generate value outcomes. There has been multiple times where you realize, based on my introduction, that I changed technology. I had to kind of embark onto new set of technological changes, and this is something which I really enjoyed in the journey of whatever projects which I have done, or simply breaking complex process or ecosystem into simple, digestible, successful steps. Now, what does that mean is we had this complex setup of global capability center. Now, how do you rationalize a part of an enterprise, whether it is pertaining to people, attracting the right talent, retaining them? So I had a luxury of having the lowest attrition rate in my organization. Then kind of reorganizing the processes, being able to figure out what technology, how do we manage the service catalog of our offerings to the customer, also ensuring that we have the right knowledge base so that the churn can be managed, or we keep on taking on new capabilities, using the data, what was getting created, whether it is from projects, whether it is from monitoring perspective. So lot of learning, or the journey has given us a lot of learning. And frankly speaking, we also created an incubation center, which fed ideas into the R&D department. And as I said, not a single project can give you so much of learning, right? And it's like various activities which we have done over the period of time. In fact, I remember when we started with this Global Capability Center back 3-4 years back, it was majorly labor expense arbitrage. But then we moved into centralization of skills, standardization of a lot of processes, engineering and re-engineering aspects, creation of new center of excellence, because we had a variety of products which was coming along, and then doing technology transformation from monolithic to moving on to the SaaS-based ecosystem.
Right.
So, frankly speaking, Falak, it's very difficult to answer or pick and choose one opportunity, but I think I explained that the journey was much more important for me.
Yes, definitely. So you've been honored with the CSG Excellence Award. Our viewers would like to know how you came about achieving it.
Hey. Yeah, you've taken me some years back into this, but I have been privileged to lead the best team. And I have led a team with a variety of experience group, right from freshers to people who are about to retire in their professional journey. And so much of learning, right? Means learning in terms of expectation management, how to drive the team for success, how we can manage the outcomes for our customers, and overall growth of our teams. And at the end, everything towards the benefit of the customers. So this was actually for a 14 country transformation project which we won, and this award was for that. So end of the day, when you learn, you earn, and we earned an excellence award as a team here. So
That's really very wonderful, I must say, and congratulations to you for that.
thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so when we talk about ESG and corporate governance, I want to know like how and when did you get exposure to ESG and corporate governance?
It is interesting, Palak. So frankly speaking, when I started my journey very early in my career, I got an opportunity to work with the best executives in the world, the CXOs and the CIOs, and very closely learned and imbibed the corporate governance. In fact, it became so obvious that it ingrained in my mindset. I call it brain tattooed. So I had this brain tattooed that governance is not just compliance, but a way of running corporations. And better, let me give you an example. That would be a better part of it. So what we used to do is we used to have this revenue and cost forecast for every project in our portfolio. And this forecast would happen at the start of the year, then at the start of the project, and every quarter. Now imagine we are taking a crystal ball, figuring out all the risks and impact which can happen, and doing a forecast. We made sure that the forecast doesn't have a variance more than plus minus 3%. And this is where I believe the amount of governance which came into picture. And it was an inherent belief that if part of an entity does not give the correct forecast, imagine what we are passing it on to our stakeholders or shareholders. So every quarter, these results are released in for public limited company, and even as one entity, if I do not meet my target, suppose I deviate by minus 50%, imagine the impact of what we are communicating to our shareholders. And this kind of rigorous governance we followed in every project of ours. Now coming on to the social part. So I have dealt with the human resource capital all my life, managing teams, region, global entities. And they are the asset to drive growth, right? So I also had a privilege, as I said, to have a lowest attrition rate in my organization. Now, after COVID, there has been a change in terms of working culture as well because of work from home or hybrid working. And this is where I believe we learned a lot in terms of the social aspect, whether it is benefits of employees, how to engage them, how to make sure the customer doesn't get impacted and all. And one more aspect which I realized as part of the social stuff is responsible vendor partnerships. So I have been a vendor all my career. And this is amazing that the relationship has to be win-win. It cannot be one win and the other loses. So it is not a zero-sum game at the end of the day. And this is where we learned a lot in terms of how we do vendor partnerships, how we engage and live our engagement there. Labor laws, that was another aspect which we had to deal day in, day out. And considering that it was a global organization, we have people all around the globe. That made more and more sense for us in terms of learning. The last aspect of the governance is the energy usage and environment. Frankly speaking, for an IT organization like ours, we don't realize the impact of what we can make if every individual starts contributing into this. So I'll give you one example there. So we had this microservices component which run on a cloud environment and these APIs. So there was a decision that those APIs should be shut down if it is not used for a certain period of time, or even maybe every night. Now, the trigger was a commercial decision, but amount of environmental savings it brings on, it's really amazing. So recently I read some article that because of this growing popularity of AI models, the Microsoft data center has increased the usage of water by 34% year on year. In number terms, it is like 6.4 billion liters of water was used last year, which is almost equal to 2,500 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And the story is the same for Google as well. So imagine if you are able to save that processing cost, shut down the level of savings we do for the environment. And I believe this is not just at an executive level, but this is a mindset and way of living till the last resource in the organization. It can only happen when we keep percolating the message again and again into the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's really very great, I must say. So as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you offer to the corporate world?
So Falak, frankly, I covered some of the areas already in the previous question. But I personally believe this is the year, the decade of India. We will grow phenomenally and we'll see a lot of startups, a lot of mid-tier companies, and all of them would need expertise and experience for scaling, both as a specialist and generalist. I'll give you one example. So recently, not recently, but sometime back, I had someone come for some suggestion to me. So they had grown their company 5-folds in a very short span of time after COVID. And on the looks of it, this is a fantastic news, right? Means you grow 5 times, very rare thing to do in such a short span of time. But they hit with a bigger problem. With that scale, they were not making money. In fact, they were losing money. And this is where, when I went and saw the details, you realize that scaling is not that easy. You need to work on your people, you need to work on your processes, you need to work on technology, you need to work on your cash flow. And this is where I also joke with my folks that managers are normally, I term it as PPT, people, process, and technology. If you do not have a hold on PPT, then things will go wrong. And this exactly was happening with that organization. So this is one of the value definitely we can, as independent directors to the board, bring on. Especially having the technology knowledge, and most of the committees in the board going forward will have the specific areas like technology management and all. And that's the other aspect where we can generate value. One more thing, having done projects, obtain number of projects day in, day out, risk management is another area where I feel that there can be humongous contribution. And the inherent behavior of any projects, first thing to do is to do the risk management. And having seen that through, that is another aspect which can add value. In fact, I have my personal passion for trading, and that's where risk management comes into picture in a big way. Resilience. So having operated global company and global regions. We never had a streamlined way of business management, right? I mean, there will always be crest and turf. So how do you maintain resilience? What processes to introduce? What things to look out for? Those are the kind of things we can give a perspective to the board. And obviously, having had global exposure across 4 continents, working with customers, executives, there is a lot of learning which can be translated for the benefit of any organization.
Yes.
And I personally believe that it is not about mentoring the senior executives. The people who are running the business, they know their job. They are experts at it. Rather, it is about constantly evaluating the best practices for the best business outcomes. It is like if you're standing in front of a tree, it's very difficult to see the whole jungle, right? So you just take a step back, and as a third-party perspective, you create a view of the jungle, that what's happening around and how you can go up. So that's where we can add value, Falak. That's the honest and humble admission.
Very, very great, I must say, and I wish you all the best for that.
Thank
So,
you.
yes, moving ahead, I want to know, like, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology, and what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, and Web 3.0?
That's an interesting question, and obviously, I am not a futurist, but I'll give it my try. I like, since I mentioned futurist, I really like the work of Alvin Toffler. He really has been able to predict few things very nicely. But frankly speaking, we have seen a lot of evolutionary changes. But after the advent of internet, I still believe that we have not seen any revolutionary changes, as to say. And when I mean revolutionary, it means that technology can be used by masses and with ease to solve business problems. So that I still believe after internet, there is yet to be something to come across. And just to remind, I came from a mainframe background into open systems and seen the transition from old to new, then transition to SaaS-based ecosystem. So I have seen a lot of such meaningful changes into the ecosystem. But coming back to your question of IoT, AI, ML, Web 3.0 and all. So personally, I believe each technology will have its own life cycle. I'll give you a few examples for each of those, and probably that will make sense of what I'm trying to highlight here. So I went to my village almost 6 to 7 years back, and it's pretty remote village at the time. And I saw one of the farmer using his mobile phone to start the pump sets. Pump sets are the bit which feeds water into the fields. And mid of the night, he will make a call through his mobile phone, and the pump set starts. And then whenever he has to shut down, so he doesn't need to go there. And I was actually surprised to see that. And frankly speaking, I felt that IoT will become a household thing, right from the fridge will have all the data points, and you can collect data in the fridge and many other equipments at the home. Unfortunately, it has been used in a lot of industries, but whether it has been used in mass scale, yet to be seen. And there is good application for IoT for that matter. Now, coming down to Web 3.0, the decentralization aspect. Again, I personally felt that this is a fantastic evolution in terms of the way it was not a technological evolution, but more of a process evolution. However, unfortunately, I still do not see mass scale utilization, and that's primarily because there is intervention of the government, there is currency of the governments involved, then there are this mammoth giants of the banks which are involved. So not very easy to percolate this. And unfortunately, it has ended up doing as a trading currency rather than anything else. So there are a lot of things which are happening, and people, it's like, it's not that they are everybody is accepting that change, but at some areas it is getting accepted. Now, very good example is this chat GPT thing, the AI stuff. If I remember correctly, it was somewhere around November 22, this thing came into picture. You won't believe, Falak, 8,000 plus AI apps have been created, and not even a year. You see the time cycle? In such a short time cycle, this has gone boom all over.
Yes.
And this is where I feel what would happen is the way we do our jobs will change forever. It's not that there will be a lot of job losses, but the way we do our job will change forever. And it will push more of a skill and gig-based economy. So what I mean by that is, even I can do coding, or a non-coder can do a coding on any type of technology using AI. And what it will do is it will push more entrepreneurship, as the ease of delivering outcomes will become simplified over a period of time.
Yes.
So this is something which I personally believe for AI. And the change might come sooner than expected. Believe me, it will not be far away. So,
yes. So moving ahead, like as you know, we are building a community of industry magnets. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about this initiative taken about by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Hemal Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
Hemal and Jishan, they have struck gold, Palak. They have struck gold, and at the right time. It is India's decade. Let's not forget this. I keep on repeating that because I really believe in that. We'll see a lot of startups, medium enterprises, and unicorns getting created. And creating this pool of experts, in fact, I call it as attempting to create a Wikipedia of corporate experts. It is valuable. It is valuable not only for the participants of the community like me, but for corporations and for future boards of the company. In fact, kudos to you as well, Falak, for sharing the same dream and journey and being part of that. And to the entire team, this is fantastic. This is a fantastic initiative.
Really kind words by you. So it was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Diwakar Rai. We wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. And all the wonderful teachings, the different principles, and the values that you plan to bring to the corporate world, everything that you have shared with us. So I'm sure everyone watching this, it is going to help them grow in their careers too.
Thank you, Falak. Thanks for those kind words. And it was a pleasure spending this time. I really hope as well that whatever we discussed is of value. And people who are going to spend time on this, they really enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.